G'day, my fellow media collectors. I'm Troy, and today we're looking at The Fantastic Four is a superhero film that was produced by Constantin Film, 20th Century Fox, Marvel Entertainment, Marv Films, TSG Entertainment, and Moving Picture Company, and was released into theatres on the 4th of August 2015. The movie was plagued with controversy from the start, with multiple delays in production, script rewrites, and creative clashes between the director Josh Trank and the studio, with Josh Trank publicly disowning the film before its release. Due to the poor reception and performance of the film, all plans for the follow-up sequel, planned for 2017, were scrapped immediately. This Blu-ray has a runtime of 100 minutes. This Blu-ray was released on the 15th of December 2015. And it was distributed by 20th Century Fox. The story follows four young prodigies, Reed Richards, Ben Grimm, Johnny Storm, and Sue Storm, who teleport to an alternate dimension known as Planet Zero. An accident during their mission alters their physical forms and grants them extraordinary powers. As they struggle to understand and control their new abilities, they must come together as a team to stop their former friend turned enemy, Victor Von Doom, whose exposure to the same dimension has made him dangerously powerful and bent on destroying Earth. Now, the script for this film is it's an uninspired, joyless mess that manages to strip literally all the fun, charm, and imagination from one of Marvel's most iconic superhero teams, seriously. Instead of breathing some new life into this franchise, this reboot literally suffocates with a lifeless script and a plot that is so thin it practically evaporates halfway through the movie. What could have been a bold new take ends up being this dreary slog through some, lifeless dialogue, some bland characterizations, and some god-awful, baffling narrative choices, with the story structure really one of its worst elements, to tell you the truth. So look, for nearly 2/3 of the film, it spent all this time setting up this whole dimension traveling experiment thing, right? Only to rush through their actual transformations into superheroes. Then literally out of nowhere comes this jarring boom, 1 year time jump that skips over one of the most important parts of their story, their adjustment to their new powers and forming their relationships together around that. It's almost like the writers of the script deliberately avoided the most compelling plot points of the story on purpose to suck, honestly, what little life there was in this movie out of it. And look, our villain of the story, Victor Von Doom, is written as a one-note brooding loner who turns evil for no clear reason other than he was left behind. His motivations are vague, and his final plan on destroying Earth because... Anybody?
I got nothing.
Makes absolutely no sense. In the end, this god-awful script is a masterclass in how to drain all the energy, charm, fun, fantasy, and coherence from a much beloved superhero property. It completely misunderstands the characters, botches its pacing, and delivers a story that is so lifeless it barely qualifies as a narrative. This is a squandered opportunity for, from the first page to the last in this script. Honestly, it is absolutely terrible. And that is why I'm going to give this the horrendous score of 2 out of 30. So this film is a direct adaptation of the original comic books of the same name from Marvel Comics.
Psych!
Gotcha. Nah, this isn't that film. This is the complete and bloody opposite of the comics, with the only similarity that I could almost find is just in the name alone. I mean, this film feels like it draws absolutely nothing from the comics and its source material. It significantly just diverges from the original comics in like the original team aspect, the tone, the fun of the comics, the characters, the family dynamic, the visual flair and spectacle of the comics that really defined the classic Fantastic Four legacy. The design and looks of their costumes, or should I say lack thereof, removes it even further away from the source material. And this doesn't make anyone feel like superheroes. And that brings me to their powers, which they were the only thing that they seemed to stick to, right? As far as they had their powers, but how their powers worked changed as well, which I was not a fan of at all, as their powers were constantly on, or they were in pain, so they had to make suits to turn off their powers and have, you know, to be somewhat normal. And it really put the emphasis on the powers that they were more of a curse that made everyone miserable, and not a gift that made them, I don't know, maybe, oh, here's something for you, fantastic.
Say that again?
Now I'll just grab the cast from here, and as you can see, the cast list reads like a dream team on paper of the young talent that was actually hitting it big at that time in the film industry, meaning this should have been so exciting to see them do their thing. But in practice, it was more lifeless and disjointed than the film itself. And look, whether that's due to maybe a lack of direction or an uninspired script or simply poor chemistry across the board, no one delivered a engaging performance, which did nothing to save this movie at all. So look, let's start with Miles Teller as Reed Richards / Mr. Fantastic. Now Teller, from what I have seen him in, is usually quite capable of a layered and intense roles, but it seems to, how can I put it, he seems to sleepwalk through this one. His portrayal is dull and emotionless, blank, and the script really doesn't give him very much agency or charm at all. By the film's second half, he disappears from a large chunk of the story, both literally and narratively. Kate Mara as Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman. Now, she gives perhaps the most boring and uninvolved performance in the film. Sue Storm is supposed to be this strong, intelligent, and very central to the team dynamic, but Mara plays hers with a distance, almost bored tone. She lacks any chemistry whatsoever with any of the other characters on screen, especially Teller, who is supposed to be her love interest in this movie, and her emotional range is stuck between a mild annoyance and blank stares, with her looking like she wishes she was just somewhere else. Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm, Human Torch. So look, to Jordan's credit, he does bring the occasional spark of energy to the film as Johnny Storm, but even his natural charisma can't light up this cold, colourless toad of a movie. While he has moments of that rebelliousness and flair, his overall performance just lacks the fun and impulsive energy the character is literally known for, and his sibling relationship between the Johnny Storm and Sue Storm is barely there, but the dry script and lack of character development leaves him sort of stranded, no matter how hard he probably tried to make this character work. Jamie Bell as Ben Grimm and The Thing. Now, Bell brings a sense of quiet sorrow to Ben Grimm, but he's woefully underused as he's nearly invisible throughout the film, both literally and emotionally. As Ben Grimm, he's given very little screen time before he becomes the rock monster, shall we say, even with less personality somehow. His performance and his emotional arc is almost non-existent, with his talent buried under some, shall we say, average CGI and probably some worse writing actually. Toby Kebbell as Victor Von Doom. So I think Kebbell is utterly wasted here as Victor Von Doom. He's given a hollow, brooding presence with no real motive or menace to the character, and what should have been a complex and intelligent villain comes off as a brooding background character with no purpose and even less presence. His final turn into Doom is a little rushed and probably the worst version of Doom we have seen up on screen. He's kind of more of a character of angst and lazy writing than the legendary villain that we needed for this film. Look, overall, we have a cast of rising stars that phoned this in for a paycheck than a career-altering experience. And look, I feel that it's the complete opposite of what the comics asked for. We just got the complete opposite. It's just as simple as that. Of everything from costumes, this, that, you name it, it's all the complete bloody opposite. And because of that, that's why I'm going to give this a 2 out of 20. Okay, as we look at the disc and case, that's okay. Like I said, you look at it and it's like, is this a Fantastic Four or a sci-fi movie? I'm not sure. And there's the side with that logo where they kind of replace the A with the 4. On the back, not a great deal going on. This was more of the mass-produced one that came out. And we look at the disc. At least it's a coloured disc. I suppose that is a bonus. And there's my code if you want it. Not that it's probably valid. Anyway, look, it's like the movie. It's pretty average at best. So look, for this one, I'll probably go middle of the range and give this a 5 out of 10. So look, there are a couple of special features on this Blu-ray, and they include powering up the superpowers of the Fantastic Four, some concept art, the Quantum Gate, Planet Zero, and the score. Now, the special features are pretty much everyone doing their best to sell you this idea of this movie, and that it's so grounded in real life that it could actually happen. But that's the problem. That's really missing the point of what the Fantastic Four is all about, you know what I mean? And look, no amount of these guys trying to explain it to me in the special features will change my mind on this movie either, that's for sure. Look, there's not much here, and a lot of it's not great either. So for that, I'm probably going to give this maybe a 3 out of 10. Now, as I bring up the Rotten Tomatoes scorecard, as you can see, the score for the critics came in at, oh Jesus, 9%. Christ. While the audience score came in at, 18%. Holy shit, that's got to be one of the worst scores I've seen in a big budget movie in a long time. Wow. 9% from the critics. Geez, I thought I was being tough on this movie. Some of the reviews are scathing, to say the least, and the audience scores, well, there's a vast majority of them out there that are bad, but every once in a while you'll come across one that says, hey, this movie is fantastic. Like they're the first moron that came along and went, oh, I'm going to troll this review with a joke. Sorry, but you're not the first, okay? Anyway, look, if we round this out, we're literally going to get a score of, I can't believe this, 1 out of 10. Now, I didn't see this film in cinemas, thank God, as the bad press that was out there and the terrible trailers that they showed us of what we were actually going to get had me kind of saying, yeah, bugger it, look, I'll save my money and I'll just watch it when I get it on Blu-ray. And then, a little while later, got it on Blu-ray, And by that time I'd read more, seen some more things, and I just didn't want to watch this god-awful movie, period. Until now, yes, I have sacrificed my better judgment for you, the viewer, to do this month of Fantastic Four movies, to let you know how much of a dumpster fire this bloody movie was. Now, I said this in my last few reviews, that when a writer or director or production company have the arrogance to think they know better than everyone else to change a property that is super well known and loved for what it is into something completely different, and then get surprised and call foul when people don't like it?
I am shocked and saddened by that.
Well, this will forever be, for me, the movie that will be the poster child for why you should not do that. Now, the thing I struggle with the most is that why would the director Trank, or should I say Tank, because that's what he did to this movie, stray so much from the classic comic book that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created, that was known for its colourful, otherworldly sci-fi, family orientated, and dare I say, fantastical adventures that people love so much, and turn it into this much darker, grittier, somber approach with real world focus, government control, and existential dread, which was actually closer to a movie you might know named Chronicle, kind of in that style, which, oh yeah, that's right, he directed that one too.
No, that makes total sense.
Than, say, your traditional superhero film. Now, he says that the studio interfered, which they did, don't get me wrong, they did, but mate, you cannot blame it all on them. This one is your fault from start to finish.
It's true.
It's an epic flop of a movie that somehow makes superpowers feel like a punishment for both the characters and us, the viewers. And for that, I am going to give this, I was probably lucky that it gets this actually, a 2 out of 20. For availability, I'm definitely going to give this a 2 out of 5, as look, it is not hard to find anywhere on the secondhand markets on your eBay or Amazon. As far as collectability goes, I'm going to give this a 1. Look, you don't need it in your collection, but if you want to complete your Fantastic Four, yeah, then go pick it up. The average price you are looking for is somewhere between the $6 to $35 mark for the Blu-ray, so God, really shop around and really look for the $6 one. Let's go to the scorecard and see how this one shapes up. Now, for the final score, we get a grand total of 15 out of 100. Holy shit, that might be the worst score I've had on this channel. And hell, I've even reviewed this movie before. I hope Trank just stays away from superhero movies like, you know, maybe forever.
Forever, 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 ever, forever, ever.
Next week on the show, we are going to look at Stan Lee's Mosaic and do a Stan Lee month of his independent movies. So make sure you come back and check those out. Thanks for watching.